Hi everyone, this is Katie from Moonflower Moments. I thought I would finally go ahead and give a face to the name. So that being said, we are sitting out in my garden right now. I am currently really soaking in the Empress energy. So I'm 2 days away from my birthday, and I've decided that the best way to celebrate it in terms of just really being present in July and these last few weeks heading into school is that I need to sit and nurture the spaces and the people and all of the creatures and the plants around me in a very Empress way. And so I want to spend these last few weeks really soaking in the beauty that is the mother archetype of the Empress, the woman with the curves and the lushness and the softness, the woman who is the start of every creative process. I want to embody that right now. And so I thought that I would give y'all a little bit of a show of what's happening in my garden right now that really is tapping into that Empress energy. And then I'll take you inside to some of my altar spaces and also show you some of the decks. You'll have to excuse the wind. So we're catching the outer rays of Hurricane Beryl right now, which is hitting Texas. So I don't think we're gonna get any rain, but it is really windy. But in true me fashion, I wasn't gonna wait to record this video. I think my neighbor is mowing his lawn, but you know, these are all just things that we deal with. I mean, we can still be present within our space, even with extra factors. And so I'm gonna flip y'all around and I'm gonna show you what's been going on with my garden. Then we'll head inside, we'll look at the altar spaces and the decks if I haven't said that already. And so we'll just go ahead and get started. So this month is all about honoring the Empress. So one of the ways I've been, of course, honoring the Empress is by sitting outside every single day on my patio and enjoying, oop, there was my finger, enjoying these butterflies that are floating around. So I have a passion vine here. It's mostly eaten all the way, but you can see we have some of the large caterpillars that I think are gonna make it to butterflies. But because I decided to plant this in my garden, I now just have a refuge for the most beautiful butterflies imaginable. So I've been really sitting in that Empress energy. You know, I think a lot of times the Empress is associated with that mother archetype, but for those of us who choose not to have children, we can feel like that doesn't apply to us. And I'm really coming into a space now that like I realize, okay, I don't want to have kids, but I am nurturing this. Like I have this whole thing going on. Oh, so they're mating right there. And it's because of the choices that I have that I get to have this beautiful mountain mint that is just covered in absolute pollinators. So we have butterflies galore in this space, some that are making more butterflies. I have a big fat bee. I mean, if we're not calling this Empress energy, I don't know exactly what is. So number one, the number way that I'm trying to cultivate it is just by being out here, getting my hands in the dirt. I always frustrate myself because I like to keep my nails long, but I never wear gloves because I think it's important to put my hand directly in the dirt. That's a form of magic for me. I finally have tomatoes for this first time in my life. I've never been able to grow them. So I think that's a little bit small of a win and part of that journey towards creation. We have some black-eyed Susans back there, all of my Mexican sunflowers. But how can I not feel empressy when I'm following these creatures around every day? So another way that I work with the Empress is I have a little spell jar. So out here on my altar, you'll have to excuse the plants in the pots. It is very hot over here. It's like 95 degrees. So some things are starting to die off. But I have this little spell jar next to my gnome garden. I have my little hermit here. Doesn't he look like a little hermit? But I move my little gnome garden furniture around as I see fit. I'll change out the creatures. The last time I did a lot of substantial work over here, I was really leaning into the hermit. So I had my little gnome that looked like a hermit. Now, since I'm moving more into the Empress, I probably will be moving this around and getting some of the other creatures too. But I take this little spell jar and I ask myself, what do I want to cultivate in my life? And so what I do on this little altar, I put herbs that resonate with that for me. So we're standing in a big thing of mountain mint right now. So I would put mountain mint in that jar, which I'm going to do, but I'm not going to do on camera. I'm also going to put some Turk's cap, some coral honeysuckle, some things that are bright. And I leave this jar outside just until I feel like I've reached that point. And I'm ready to move on from that energy. I'm ready to move forward from that and just explore other types. Now, this is especially important to me because as you can see here, it's on this little plaque. My husband did some work on our house, so this is actually a piece of wood that's from our house. So I feel like that makes it especially important. So I'm a little spell jar situation going over here. I'm not going to do that on camera, but I will be back later to come in. And most of the time when I work with herbs, all of it is like personal association to me. So mint grows so profusely and abundantly. This is the one that I really have to work with. I also pull with colors. So if we're trying to go with like the garden and the Empress and her sensuality, I might pull some of this Scarlet Sage because it's this bright, beautiful pink just screaming just femininity. And I also might take something like an unripe bud. So I'm not going to do it from this zinnia, but I might do it from here, one of the Scarlet Sages. This hasn't bloomed yet, and put that inside of the jar as well. I'm really feeling my intuition calling me to do that because the Empress is all about taking something and moving it from its very start to that creation process till the end. And so I think putting something that is in the process of being reborn along with something that has been born, I think that's a great idea. So that's really the work that I do within this space. A lot of times I'll sit and I'll meditate with my new patio. I've been pulling a lot of cards out here and just feeling the energy of the space. I think most of the butterflies have retreated inside because it is very, very windy today, but I'm sure they'll be back. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move you to my inside space, and I'm going to share some of the ways that I've been working with her inside as well. All right, so there's a lot of things in this space that do not change, but this month, since I'm embracing Empress energy, I did have to put this candle from my friend Natalie and my friends Michelle. They made that one. She fell on the floor the other day, so that's why she has this weird nipple situation going on, but hopefully YouTube doesn't block me for pointing that out or for saying that. But I am going to burn this candle, as this has been with me for probably about 2 to 3 years, so I know that I'm going to burn this one this month. I have some flowers from my garden. These are not as fresh as they could be, but they were just bright, beautiful blooms. This is a purple echinacea. This one is a zinnia. And then we have some rattlesnake master here, which this represents the emperor as the counterpart to this beautiful empress. I went ahead and on my shelf above my altar, I put my flower playing cards. So all of those are easy to see now. And they're mostly wildflowers, just to give me the opportunity to reach for that. I have my essential oils that my mom gave me, but they're in this beautiful like pink color, so I thought that was good. And then I'm also working with these 2 cards this month. So I pull cards around my moon cycle, and these were my 2 cards of the month. And I mean, if you just look at her, she's a beautiful empress. So hopefully I do not get reported for that. We might have to do some post editing censorship, but I am working with her in a just an art capacity, in a Fool capacity. It says love dreams. So I've been asking myself, you know, what dreams do I have because of my love? What dreams does my love cultivate? So what can I bring into the world? I also have some paintings here that never move. So there's this one. This was part of a 4 elemental series, and she represents the earth element. I also have her counterpart here who represents the water element. I know the glare is really bad, but I'm definitely not going to shut the window because I like to see what's going on outside. So you'll just have to bear with the video quality. I also have this from my sweet friends. I don't know what kind of crystal it is. I'm not a crystal gal. I have this right here to hold some of my other loose crystals. I use that often. And this is Terra Botanical, which is my favorite deck. So it's right behind it. One of the things I did this month is I worked with some essential oils with my friends, and what I decided to do was get fragrant notes that matched my garden. So this one has a lot of sage in it for fragrance notes. I also created this roller ball, and that one has a lot of sage notes in it too. You know, if you couldn't tell from my garden, I'm a sage person. We're just going to lay that down. But I've been using these before every reading, so just to soak into the aspects of my garden and just to remind myself of how I can ground myself in this. And it's really hard to see. We'll see if the camera picks up. I have some spiderwort from my house. I also have some fleabane from my parents' property, which is just this beautiful 2.5 acre parcel that I definitely didn't appreciate when I was a kid, but now I'm an adult, I appreciate it. So it gives me the opportunity to work with them when I bring that in, to remind me of like my home now, my home where it was, and my home now right there. So I like that a lot. So I also have over here We have my grandmother's rosary, which I keep. Have all my tarot decks underneath. They're not in a great order right now, the butterflies. But behind this, I have my flower press. So this is one of the key ways that I've been working with the Empress. Oops, that was very loud. Sorry, I'm not great at things that are not tapped down yet, guys. So I've been pressing flowers in here. Some of the ways that I've been doing this, or some of the types that I've been working with, have been the flame lilies. My father is a plumber, and he was working for a client one day, and my dad, just being the talkative little Aries that he was, he made a comment about how beautiful the flowers were, and he said his daughters were really both into gardening, and so the man gave him some bulbs of this. And so I finally pressed it. We have some mimosa leaves here because that's the tree that I'm studying this month, so I've been doing that work. In my little everyday planner, I've been also pressing flowers. Now this one is symbolic of my garden that I just showed you outside, because we have the mountain mint here, we have my sage here, and then we have my Indian blanket, which I didn't show you. So I wanted an opportunity to put my garden in one space to remind myself of that area and the types of things that I've been working with. But you know, I naturally do this every single week, and I've been doing it for months. I didn't do it this week. I gave myself a week off, but the other weeks I've been doing pretty consistently to keep up with what's in bloom and what sort of things I've been working with. Ooh. If I can get this one, it'll be the last one. Oh, what a beautiful last one it is. I'm happy that I showed that one. I've also been working with fragrances. So I know we're not Bed Bath & Beyond gals for the most part, but my mom, her mother's name was Rosa, and so my grandmother is always associated with roses for me. So my mom gave me this candle, so I've been lighting this. I have a very strong affinity for gardenias because there were a lot of them on my property where I grew up. So this candle is uber strong, but I've been bringing in the flower essences of it. And right next to this space, which is my main altar, I also have this, which is my reading space. So I have this candle warmer here, and what I like to do is on the top of the candle warmer, I will put fragrances that I'm working with the wax, but I'll also put in any type of herbs. So I keep a little stack of herbs right here. That's really important to me. I keep some up here on this space. So if I'm trying to cultivate that sort of energy in my life, I will put some of the herb in there, whether it be dry or it be fresh from the garden. So like I had mentioned before, this is a month about abundance and creation for me, so I'm leaning towards the mints. So I already have some mint in there. I also have a little mint bouquet on my desk here. You probably cannot see it that well, kind of working with not great lighting, but I have some, this is lavender, I have the mint, I have a little Indian blanket, but it's starting to wilt. So I'll probably change this out and just have the mountain mint. But I like to have that as well. So as you can tell, I bring in a lot of that plant energy to my altar spaces. I like to try to bring what's outside inside as much as possible. So I think that's really it in terms of the different physical things that I'm doing. So I would like to show you the decks that I'm working with. So I'm going to go ahead and flip around my camera. Okay, so I have an entire stack of decks. These are the ones that I'm primarily bringing out to the garden with me to do my garden tarot readings. And they kind of range from all over different archetypes. So from essentially like the mother, the creator, the nurturer, the lover, the archetype of Venus, the sower, the harvester, the softness and the curves, the sensualist, the dream carrier, the beginning of all beginnings. I'm kind of rolling around with those archetypes. So the one that primarily shows the sensualist to me, and please YouTube, do not take this down. I swear this is not like erotica. I'm just showing art. I promise. Is going to be my Femme Erotiques. So we have a very small stack of cards to work with because I cannot show you all of them. I picked the ones that are most safe for work. But I want to be in tune with my body this month. And so this is a deck that I already use very closely with my blood moon cycle. I pull one card and I let it be my card of the month. And so I want to work with this deck to kind of embrace that sensuality, right? And sensuality doesn't have to mean sex. It can just be meaning being present in your body, eating good foods, eating whole foods, feeling like you have control over your body and enjoying like the beauty of humanity and being a person and living. So I'm going to work with Femme Erotiques. I will leave in the description box below a link to a full walkthrough of this because it's a deck that I think is so incredibly potent and important, and it's difficult to work with, but it is the perfect example of Empress energy. So the next one that I think I'm leaning into is going to be my the Prophet Oracle. So I think this one in particular is going to be one that I lean into, and there are landscape cards mixed in because of the phrases that are present on it. So like this is a beautiful example to start out with, and it says, "The land and the sea shall be bountiful." Right? When we're thinking about the Empress, it's not just about cultivating the bounty that's around us, but appreciating the bounty that's here. And so in what way are things abundant in front of us, and what way are things ripe and ready to be harvested? And this quote just taps right into it. Tell it not in words. Okay, well, if you're not telling it in words, you must be telling it with your body or with other forms of expression. So very sensual in nature. It is when you give of yourself that you truly give. Beautiful. Keep pace with the earth. Sing to me a deeper song. Give not a wisdom, but a faith and lovingness. The soul walks upon all paths. The light that lingers becomes a shadow to another light. Life does not go backward nor tories with yesterday. And then let the best be for your friend. I love it. So I think that the way that these characters are depicted makes it one that is able to be used as altar cards, especially. These phrases are ones that tend to get stuck in my mind. And so I want to use this deck to cultivate a deeper relationship with that archetype. Take with you your all. Beautiful. I know it says religion here, but that's just part of the poem where it comes from. Oh, we have a bunch of landscape cards. The gates of his heart were flung open. I mean, it's just so juicy. You can't get a better oracle deck for the Empress besides this. Now, of course, my other ones are mostly going to be plant-based. So I'm thinking that one to bring out in the garden with me is going to have to be Botticelli. Yeah, I'm thinking so. So I like that here the garden is more like kind of pared back, which is something that I can use in the days where it feels like I'm in a jungle when it's so hot. But there's still a lushness and a richness to it. You can tell that all of these individuals, even like the magician, like look at the tools that he has and how they are gold plated, right? So even the magician in his important work is still taking time to appreciate the luxury that is around him. And I think the Empress is a doer. And so when it comes down to it, she is the embodiment of the feminine energy that creates. All of these people look like they've worked very hard for what they've earned. Like look at Justice here. It looks like she is someone that is top in her field, someone that has worked to be able to wield this giant axe right here. You know, even in the Ace of Swords where we have a tree stump, we still have flowers around that tree stump. So a reminder of there being beauty in every ecosystem. So Botticelli is going to be one of the ones that I'm using. I also have to use Southern Botanic because I am gardening in a southern garden. There are things that are in my garden that are present in this deck, but like for example cypress. This is not what a bald cypress looks like, but I still love to pull this card because the cypress tree is the one that's closest to my tarot room, so I pull on that energy a lot in readings. Irises. My irises are the closest plant to my tarot room. And so I think that I can use it to tap into the spirits of place around me, which is very Empress-like. But there are also things in here that I don't have. Like I don't have Star Jasmine. So if I pull this card, it'll give me the opportunity to search for it when I go on walks, right? Like Candy just did that video called Wonder Walking, the deck with the Wonder Walking, where she pulled some cards and then she proceeded to look for those keywords throughout her day. I could do that with this plant and make it almost a mission to look for Star Jasmine. oak, it wouldn't be hard for me to do at all because I'm currently underneath like 2 of them because they hang over the house. But there are things in here that I could search for that are in bloom. Maypop, that's right outside my door. I just showed you some gold fritillaries that are mating. Crepe myrtle, I have one of those. Pawpaw is very difficult for me to find, but I could make it a mission to go on a hike and look for it. So there's a sense of being present in the moment that I think this deck is going to cultivate for me as I'm entering into this Empress season of my life. And doesn't that watermelon look delicious? I think another way that I can tap into the Empress energy is by eating like really whole foods like avocados and like rich croissants. That's not a whole food, but you know, it's one of my favorite foods. And then like really fancy cheeses, or even just the simple pleasure of like a really ripe watermelon, tomato, peach, something juicy and delicious that really just fills your mouth. That would be Empress for me. And what a great card to end on, the rose. And the same can be said about Herbcrafters. Like every time you pull a card from this deck and you work with the guidebook reminds you that you need to save abundance for other people as well. So it's not just, we can't just take from the earth and not give back. So it shares that, it has that partnership with the earth that I really enjoy and I really love to bring into all of my workings. Everything that I've showed you so far is very plant-based, very tree-based, because I am someone who works with these as allies. So I like the idea of that partnership of you have to ask the plant before you harvest from it. You can't just continue to take. Never take more than like half of what's there. These rules that are written into the guidebook teach you responsibly how to work with plants. And I think that's something that an Empress would embody and ideals that she would hold closely to her heart. I also would want to work with this deck with the Empress because of the way that it encourages you to share with others. And so I'm thinking of a card in particular, maybe we've already passed it, but it is the 6 of water. And it talks about sharing your emotional experiences with other people. And I really very much enjoy that because the 6 of Cups usually is in relation to like nostalgia and the past and da-da-da-da. And the card is very focused on being present in the moment, being in harmony with your feelings, which is definitely true to the number 6, and sharing luxurious things with your friends. And so 2 of water, mallow. This isn't necessarily about romantic love in the guidebook, but it talks about these birds that are sipping from these mallow plants and sipping this water. So there's a deeper sense of love here to me than just like relationship commitment. It's a sacred responsibility to the planet. I say that, but oh my goodness, my husband watched me, he'd be like, wait, don't you think they're even? And I would say, yes, they're even. But like there is something beautiful about seeing all of these birds and all of these little critters that are in this as well. It reminds us not to be focused on us, but to be focused on everyone around us. And this was the card I was just talking about. She's sharing wine with her friends. Gorgeous. The Empress, I mean, she's hosting a garden party, so this would be right up her alley. And the next one that I want to share, and this will be my last one for this video, is Slavic Legends. This artwork is so richly detailed that when I see it, I think that this is how the Empress views the world. You know, it's not just looking at things, but seeing all of the nuances and the intricacies and the beauty to what's here. Like for example, this guy is inside, right? But you can clearly see the wood grain of the shelves behind him right here. You can also see like the texture of the bricks along the mantle. There's something about that that I think an Empress would really resonate. Not just looking at things, but soaking them in and sinking yourself in to what's around you. You can see here the fabrics in this Magician card right up here. The curtains are just like highly detailed. It feels like you're touching them. So there's that sense of being present in your senses that I think is true to the sensory experience of being an Empress. So I will most certainly be taking her out to the garden as well and trying to learn from her what there is to see. I think this is going to be a deck I've primarily read as like an RWS deck, but if I label it as an Empress deck and I really go into it with the intention of sinking into the artwork and then looking around me and sinking into the beauty around me, I think that's going to elevate the experience and help me to bond with it in an even deeper level. And I'm so eager to do it because, I mean, I just keep talking and showing you these cards because, you know, sometimes you have a deck and you're like, holy shit, this deck is beautiful. It's Slavic Legends for me. We just have to stop here. I mean, look at her, our Queen of Cups. She's a Queen of Cups, but doesn't she kind of look like an Empress too? So guys, I'm not going to flip it back around. I'm going to go ahead and call it and say that that's it. So this has been kind of a meditative for me to film. I think I'm going to go and run outside and grab the picnic blanket. The ground is a little bit wet, but hopefully it'll keep me from sinking into the mud that is South Louisiana. But I'm really excited and eager to share with y'all how this goes at the end of the month. I think this is the right time of my life for this. I think that for a long time I ran away from the Empress because, like I said before, I couldn't sink into it with the idea of a mother and the idea of me not wanting to be a mother to human children. I think I need to examine all of the ways that I'm maternal in other areas of my life too. So before I leave, I want to go ahead and ask y'all, have any of you taken a deep dive study of a particular tarot archetype like this and worked with it for a month or a season or several months? If so, I would love to hear your experiences and some of the other ways that you embrace that energy so I can add to my list. So I appreciate y'all so much for being here. This was Moonflower Moments, and I hope y'all have a beautiful day.